because they're spiritual beings which have no body, and they are, for the most part, much more intelligent than we are. There are certain choirs of these that are, I've interacted with some of them, they see dumb as a doorknob, but for the most of them are going to outwit you in any kind of, dialogue back and forth. So we tend to not listen to them.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to Armor of God again. As always, thank you so much everybody for taking the time to be here with us, and hopefully you'll be edified with what we've put together for you here. Now for this video, I have to let you know that there are going to be a few clips where these priests will be talking about demons a lot more than some of my most recent videos. So I've put together a few interesting clips for all of you in this video, but before I share those clips though, please allow me to explain something. When I said before that I won't be sharing any more Father Ripperger stuff on my channel because of copyright infringement and video takedown, some have the wrong impression that I'm trying to throw mud at Father Ripperger's name. I would definitely love to share Father Ripperger's stuff because there's so much we can learn from listening to him. But I have had one video that received copyright strike and another given 7 days notice to remove on my own. In any case, please don't think that I'm trying to throw muds at Father Ripperger for making this decision. I respect all our priests and always pray for them. I'm sure he has his reasons, so I am merely respecting Father Ripperger's decision for doing this. But then even if you like listening to one priest of the church by saying the priest is the best teacher in the church as shown in the screenshot comment here, please refrain from throwing muds at other priests while you're at it. Anyway, that's enough of that. I hope it's clear by now, and I'm sorry for starting the video with this, but it's actually related to something that I'd like to share here though. I think it's the first time I come across a video like this, where they are actually trying to tell their Christian audience that Father Vincent Lampert is lying and, as the video title says, hiding something. I'm going to share you a bit of what they're saying here, just for the sake of sharing.
So was she possessed by a demon, you believe?
So then again, I had her go through steps to see a psychiatrist.
Okay. So he saw he saw her morph into a reptile, and it's still no demon.
It's like, have
still
you
no
seen
demon.
the doctor, though?
To me, there's no such thing as an emergency exorcism. When those things are done is when problems really...
Do you think Jesus thought there was no such thing as an emergency exorcism when that demon was throwing the guy into the fire?
Mm-hmm.
But I happened to have a meeting with the bishop one day, and he said, I'm appointing you to be the exorcist. I don't really know what I'm asking you to do, but I'm going to send you to Rome, and you can learn what the ministry is really all about.
Let me summarize what he just said. He wasn't called by God to be an exorcist. So in real life, let me explain to everybody what happens in real life. God grabbed somebody likely that was a demoniac that came to Christ so they could understand what it's like to deal with demonized people, and they could have compassion on demonized people. He raises them up, puts the desire in their heart to serve him, and then he gives them the ability, the revelation, and the power to go ahead and do that.
And here's the thing. I'm not angry at what they're saying in the video, but I just feel sorry and disappointed that you think an experienced priest and exorcist like Father Lampert would be lying about these things, and hopefully the day wouldn't come when they actually need help from exorcists like Father Lampert. Anyway, now let's get on with the following clip, and it's going to be from Father Carlos Martins as he explains how the devil can cause physical illnesses.
There are some infirmities that when an exorcism occurs, that when the demon is expelled, their diseases leave as well. I was talking with the famed psychiatrist, Dr. Richard Gallagher, yesterday, and I are good friends, and he had a patient. So he served as the psychiatrist in the case. This patient was also a subject of exorcism. When the demon was expelled, the 10-year-long headache of the individual left as well. Right? So there was a physical manifestation that had a spiritual origin. The devil is quite capable of doing that. And I have seen cancers, tumors, and so forth leave as soon as the devil was outside the individual. So it is not true, it's absolutely not true that the devil cannot cause a physical illness. Now, it is also absolutely not true that all physical illnesses are caused directly by the devil.
And the next one is his own personal experience with an inmate who happens to be a former devil worshiper. Apparently, that man wanted to harness some power, trying to gain some form of hidden power from the devil. But as we know, anyone who makes a deal with the devil, things like this will never end up well.
So I used to do a lot of prison ministry. And in one of the prison visits I did one time, this was in the state of Texas. So I had encountered, I was in a conversation with an individual who was incarcerated for 3 back-to-back life sentences for murder. And so he said to me, Father, it had to be me because I was the only one in the house. This was a house that he broke into. He didn't know the individuals there. Evidently, I think they had a security system and a camera system that automatically called the police. And so they could see in the cameras, or I guess the security company could see what happened in the house. The man came to, and there are 3 dead bodies around him, and there's blood all over himself. And what's interesting is he said, I knew it had to be me. Now, I was a Satanist at that time. Now, he was an informal Satanist, meaning he just, he thought it would be cool to be bad. And he wanted to harness some power of the devil, of the occult hidden power. And the devil obliged, gave him some, tantalized him. And so he was conducting a ritualistic black mass in his own home, in his own apartment. All of a sudden he comes to and he finds himself in this house and there's the 3 dead bodies around him. What is really interesting is he said, Father, it was in the middle of the afternoon, a Texas afternoon, so bright sun. And I saw out the front window, I saw the first police cruiser come in, turn into the driveway, and I saw his headlights on. And they were shining through the darkness. So it was the middle of the afternoon, bright sunny day, but that individual, let's call him Tommy, right? Tommy was viewing reality in a manner where his spirit and the spirit of his person and the demonic spirit were intertwined. He was perceiving reality as the demon experiences it. Although it was a bright sunny day, for the demon, everything is darkness, and that's how Tommy was perceiving reality. He was observing the daytime running lights of the car, and they looked as bright as headlights coming into that driveway. So here's an example. He committed 3 murders, and he is locked up. He will never be released from prison. He will die in prison, all because he made a choice to worship the devil with a black mass. I mean, he did other things to lead up to that. And maybe that wasn't even the first black mass that he had done. I don't know. But there were the consequences there. See, when the devil possesses, there's no limit to the aberrant evil that an individual can do. Because now the devil inhabiting a person, he has a freedom that he ordinarily does not have. He has a body. He can do things with his body that he normally cannot do. Without a body, he can suggest. He can use the powers of nature to do things like hit or throw something and that. But God limits his power in that regard. But now, once you get inside a human being and the human being has become a host, he's given you permission to interact and to manifest. In a certain sense, the sky is the limit.
And after listening to that inmate's story, I just want to take a moment to share this one that I came across. Remember I shared Father Rehill's clips before where he talks a lot about celebrities in Hollywood will do anything to become famous. Now I'm not trying to imply anything from this clip of the late Matthew Perry talking about wanting to become famous, but I'm really interested to know what you make of this though. What I do remember is that when you're saying something like this about becoming famous, there is something else in the room that's listening to that type of desire.
You talk about this moment. There were these 2 moments that were 10 years apart. And at first, I think it was early on in LA, and you fell on your knees and you prayed to God to become famous, because that would solve everything. And it's not lost on you that almost 10 years to the day later, you were on your knees again saying, God, please don't let me die. And I just want to know what was happening in the first prayer and what was going on during the second prayer, because that's sort of a span of
Well, what was
important years.
interesting, the first time I prayed, and it was the first time, it was like a prayer of like a 14-year-old, and I was 24, something like that. And I just read that some celebrity, I don't remember who, was in trouble, and I thought to myself, he doesn't care, he's famous. What difference does that make? He's famous, he has it all. And then I knelt down and said, God, you can do whatever you want to me, just please make me famous. And 3 weeks later, I got friends, and God didn't forget about the first part of it.
What do I want to do to him?
Yeah. That kind of Faustian bargain.
Very
that I
bad
made.
disease at the same time.
And then deep into addiction, there was a much more real prayer, to save my life. And that was answered as well.
But no matter what Matthew Perry said before, it is true that our society is becoming more pagan, not only in Hollywood.
When godlessness within a culture is being celebrated, right? That godlessness is the culture that is being built like it is today in Western society. There are implications for that. And evil gains a footing in a jurisdiction, and evil is celebrated. Turn on the Grammys and you'll see evil writ large. Turn on the halftime show during the Super Bowl, and you see evil writ large. You see evil celebrated. The devil is just being handed a kingdom. He's being welcomed. Look at what's happening with you have transgendered men, essentially, although there are some women here as well. They want to have story time with children in school. This is absurd. And they're being welcomed in the name of tolerance. Right? Like, tolerance was always of persons, never of ideas, never of aberrant ideas. But there has been this movement today, this lie that unless I believe everything you believe, unless I celebrate what you believe, then I'm not fully accepting you as a person. This is a lie. This is absurd. So given the abandonment of morality, given the abandonment of a sense of purpose that an individual has. Like, can you imagine? You have a sense of purpose. You practice your faith. I do. I mean, my sense of faith is the lens through which I view myself, I view the world, through which I calculate what kind of actions I'm going to conduct and so forth. If I didn't have that, and I know what it's like to not have that, I'm a convert from atheism, then that has implications on your life. And people are coming into the world and they're not being instilled with a sense of the gift that they are and the purpose for which they were created. They're not put in contact with their maker and by extension, their own purpose and reason for existing. They don't know.
Anyway, recently I shared an update on what happened to the Indian family in Dubai who's been experiencing all kind of creepy things at home, especially between 1 to 3 in the morning. So I thought I'd like to share this from Father John Szada.
Generally speaking, when there's a house or a place that's haunted, the exorcist will have to come in and try to determine what's the cause of the haunting. So, for example, if a house is haunted and it's actually a soul, generally speaking, we can pray the office of the dead, or even sometimes go into that place and celebrate a mass with the dead for that particular soul, and that's enough to free them. All right. Whereas if it's a demon that is inhabiting the place, then sometimes you need to actually do a little bit. So, for example, we had a case. In fact, I was talking to one of the priests about it this week, several years ago, of a home. And they were experiencing all kinds of negative things in the home, but especially their young boy, who was like maybe 3 or 4, was really under physical attack. Okay. So we went there, and what we discovered was this is a very old home and in a very rural part of our diocese. And in the basement was the old town well. And there was a slab, slate slab that covered the well, on which we actually found occult symbolisms drawn. We also found some up in the attic on some of the beams. All right, so we knew that this probably what had happened was this town well had been the site of maybe a coven doing all kinds of occult practices many, many, many years ago. But the building is built over this well where these things occurred. So we actually had to have a minor exorcism of the house in order to drive out the demons. And we did, and the young boy, we anointed him with oil and all of his senses and freed him completely. I mean, there was no problems after that whatsoever. So, so that's what you have to do. You have to figure out which it is, what causes them to be there in the first place, and then you apply the appropriate remedy.
Anyway, for the second part of this video, as always, there's going to be no clip but sharing an update on what's happening in the world today. And this time it's going to be about Olivia Rodrigo, who during her stop in Missouri distributed free emergency contraceptives, condoms, and information about how to obtain an abortion. As some of you know, Olivia Rodrigo is an American singer, songwriter, and actress, and apparently she has been a long-time supporter of abortion, often speaking in favor of the demonic practice during her shows and across her social media accounts. However, during her tour recently, she took her advocacy a step further, and it is especially concerning. During her stop in St. Louis, she had an interesting gift for attendees: emergency contraception pills, condoms, and information about abortion, including how to obtain an abortion. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, Missouri has outlawed abortion on demand, and so the memorabilia included in the distributed goodie bag likely contain information on how to obtain an out-of-state abortion. You would not expect these items from a concert experience, especially when her fan base is largely underage girls, but things like this is hardly surprising anymore these days. And then, in addition to providing pro-choice propaganda at her concert, Rodrigo also announced that a portion of her world tour ticket sales would directly support abortion. She explained that a portion of all ticket sales from the North American tour will go to the National Network of Abortion Funds. And as part of her world tour, Rodrigo also created an initiative called Fund for Good, an organization that provides monetary assistance for women to travel to obtain an abortion. And then on a second note for this video, recently, Msgr Stephen Rossetti have been sent private revelations from different people who claimed that Jesus told them that demons can be converted. According to him, some are actually engaged in interacting with and praying for demons, thus believing they are facilitating the demons' conversion and entry into heaven. As one person told him, "If God is all-powerful and all-merciful, why wouldn't he offer the grace of conversion to the demons and even to the devil?" The Church's teaching and long tradition is very clear. It is the irrevocable character of their choice, and not a defect in the infinite divine mercy, that makes the angels' sin unforgivable. There is no repentance for the angels after their fall, just as there is no repentance for men after death. From the beginning, angels were given an infused knowledge of all the ramifications of rejecting God, yet some chose to do so. It does not make rational sense, but the choice for evil is always against reason. Private revelations of supposed seers must always be subject to the tradition and teaching authority of the Church that Jesus founded and to which he gave his authority. History is replete with misguided visionaries and false projects. Those who are following these misguided individuals put themselves in spiritual danger. This recent spate of private revelations about converting demons is coming from several different sources, shows that the devil is using this as yet another demonic tactic. It is sowing seeds of confusion and doubt, if not downright deception, and promoting dangerous spiritual practices. The devil wants us to engage him and his demons. They are master manipulators. And Pope Francis has rightly warned the faithful time and again not to communicate directly with demons. It is even forbidden for exorcists except in limited circumstances directly related to casting out the demons. Moreover, those who believe they are listening to Jesus, but in fact are likely listening to their own spiritual fancies, or worse yet, to the whispers of the devil, may be in grave spiritual danger. Well then, that will be all for the video this time. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, and hopefully you've learned a lot from this video. And remember, if there's any feedback or suggestion, please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, for those of you who'd like to support our works, I left a link to our PayPal donation in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contribution, and prayer. And until the next one, stay safe, stay healthy, and may God bless you.
And I would say to each person here, your namesake there's a bond there. So that's why we don't call people these non-saint names, because there's no saint. And also, God forbid, some people name their kids after demons. Whoa, what a way to start your life. So those your name is important, and also in your confirmation name, of course.